And begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So it's a beautiful day. We have sunshine, and it almost feels warm. So, on behalf of the Planning Commission, I'd like to welcome you to our Planning Commission meeting for January 13, 2026. Get used to that. For those of you that have not been with us in the past, our standard procedure is to look to our planning team and engineering team to give us an overview of the application. With that, we look to the applicant for their comments on the applications. During that process, the commissioners will oftentimes ask some questions. Then we invite comments from anyone in the audience that may be here for the application, and then the commissioners deliberate on the matter and make a decision. That's our process. We have a couple of administrative items to cover before we get started. The first is I'd like to invite or recognize two new members of our Planning Commission. First, start with Alice Buckley. Alice is our Mayor Pro Tem. And while she's new today, she's been here before. Alice has been on the City Commission for close to 6 years, or about 6 years. And she was on the Planning Commission previously, so she'll be an old hand at this. And Alice is an attorney, and so she gets all this stuff. And then Lynn Miller is joining us. She was on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and so she brings that talent and expertise to the table. And she's got a business degree, used to be a stockbroker, and is well-traveled and has done a number of other things. She's been on the board of the, she's been participated with the DIA and a number of other organizations. So welcome aboard. With that, the first thing I'd like to do is cover the approval of our minutes from our last meeting. Are there any comments that anyone has? And if not, I have a couple. So, and Amy, I guess I'm going to just run through these. So, on the first page, third line down, it says, located along Woodward Avenue near the southern boundary of the city. I think that's supposed to say the southern boundary of the condominium development. It's not the southern boundary of the city, it's the southern boundary of the condominium development. And then on page 3, second paragraph, third line, it says, he noted that few buildings in the city, actually this is right, I'm sorry, I was going to add some words. He noted that few buildings in the city have much signage. That's right, never mind, I'm going to withdraw that one. Then at the bottom of page 3, where we're addressing the signage on 41,000 Woodward, there were a couple of comments about the signage itself that a few of the commissioners made about the character. I know Lauren talked about the color of the signs and that they weren't appropriate. I made comment too, and I just want to add those comments in because they're going to come back before us, and I'd like it in the record. So my comments were, in this, we can put this in at the end of the paragraph at the bottom, where it talks, I had raised issue about the master deed. And so there, we can add, Commissioner Cuter also commented that the proposed number, location, and color of the signs proposed is a significant departure from the city's ordinance, and he could not support them. So those are the changes I have. So if no one else has anything, I guess someone can maybe make a motion.
I'd like to move that the minutes as revised and submitted here be adopted.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's done. So our first item is the Planning Commission will consider the request from the property owner at 1177 Eaton Cross for approval to install a pool and sports court in the front yard, a fence in the front and side yards, and a grading variance.
Okay, good afternoon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Eric Peach with Giffords Webster, the city's planning consultant. We have two different properties on Eaton Cross this afternoon. They're side-by-side neighboring properties. And so as we go through this presentation, you'll see maybe a little bit of reference to the other one. But following this one, we will go into a similar conversation with the next door parcel. So this is 1177 Eaton Cross, and as you can see right off the bat that this is a unique lot in the sense that it has two front yards. The first being, do I have a pointer? Is there a pointer?
Oh.
Sorry.
I'll look for it while you're talking.
Okay. Oh.
Right there.
All right, so here we have Trowbridge Road. This is the street that is considered or thought of as the street that's on the rear of the site. The address and the front of the property will be from Eaton Cross Road here. This is zoned A1, so the A1 zoning standards are what applies to the development of this lot. The lot is currently under construction. There were building permits received a year ago in March for construction of a new house. And so what's before you today is an application for some accessory structures, which again, going back to the yard determination graphic, it's a lot that has two front yards. So the areas that are shaded in green are the two front yards. When you apply those to the building that is currently under construction, the resulting yards are a side yard to the north and a side yard to the south, highlighted in yellow. And again, another unique, because it's a closed construction type fence, it's considered a limitation of only being 3 feet in height. However, when we have a pool fence, which is this portion of the fence structures, this is a pool fence which is allowed to be 4 feet in height. So if approved by the Planning Commission, the portion of fence that surrounds the sport court will require ZBA approval and would go before the ZBA next week. In addition to the sport court and sport court fence, we have a proposed pool also within the front yard, and then the pool fence that's required. Most of it lies within the front yard. A portion of it crosses over and ties into the house into the side yard. But those are the items that require Planning Commission approval. If you look at the front page of the report, we are missing one of the Planning Commission items for consideration, which is a front yard cabana, and that is located here. Right here. So there's a cabana structure here that requires Planning Commission approval. We'll go through that in just a second, those details. So when there's accessory structures that are proposed in a front yard, when we make reference to the ordinance under 24-21110 states that the Planning Commission must take into consideration what's being proposed, and the fourth criteria requires that the depth of the lot the depth of the front yard, is required to be 3 times the required setback. So 65 times 3 is 195 feet. This lot with the proposed and under construction house has a setback or a distance depth of 209. So that allows for the proposed improvements in the front yard to be able to go before the Planning Commission for consideration. If the lot was any less deep than 195 feet, then that standard would apply and everything that's proposed would require ZBA approval. Going through the dimensional standards of the ordinance, we lay out in a table format the different items that are proposed. So here we have the sport court and, or the pool and spa, excuse me. This requires PC approval in the location that it's proposed in the front yard. Otherwise, applying the setbacks, we find that it to be in compliance. The pool fence requires Planning Commission approval. Again, 4 feet is the standard requirement. It's 4 feet in height, so therefore it meets the height standard. But just because its location is unique in this case, in the front and side yards, it requires consideration from the Planning Commission. Again, the sports court meets all of the required setbacks, however, requires dimensional consideration from the Planning Commission for being in the front yard. The sport court fence, this has 2 different highlights. Number 1, for being in the front yard, again, consideration by the Planning Commission. And because of its closed construction, that's a limitation of 3 feet, but they're proposing 6 feet, which again, if located in the rear yard, 6 feet would be allowed. So just to keep that in consideration when discussing the dimensions of the proposed fence. But again, if approved by the Planning Commission, this would require ZBA approval for that specific dimension. The pool cabana, this is an accessory structure that, again, just like the pool and the sport court, when proposed in the front yard, requires Planning Commission approval. It is an open structure, so it's not enclosed. There's a few details that will show what the pool cabana looks like in just a moment. But again, dimensionally speaking, it is within the front yard and requires consideration by the Planning Commission. We looked at, if this was to be in an admin review and approval, we look at the screening elements of such a structure, and so we believe that the applicant has addressed that accordingly. And then lastly, because it's new development, what's existing is 88% open space, which was done from our previous review a year ago, and then by proposing new, that gets them down to 84% open space, and they cannot cross the 80% open space requirement of the ordinance. So we're in good shape there. So looking specifically at the cabana accessory structure, again, that's the item highlighted in purple here. This is a elevation showing the height being 10 feet maximum. If this was an accessory building, those are limited to 14 feet in height. But again, because this is not an enclosed structure, it's considered an accessory structure within the ordinance. So, you know, it's close to the side yard determination line, but it is within the front yard shown here, kind of more central to the lot. And so again, if this wasn't an admin review, we would be looking at the surrounding screening efforts by the applicant. And we'll be looking at that with this consideration with the PC today too. So looking at the 2 fence types specifically, again, highlighted in pink is the fence that's proposed around the sport court. It's 6 feet tall, black mesh, and so because of its condensed nature, we consider that a closed construction type of fence. It's more opaque than it is transparent. And so those are limited to 3 feet when they're in a front or side yard. But again, because it's proposed as 6 and not in keeping with the 3-foot standard, then technically that requires approval from the ZBA if approved by the Planning Commission today. And then secondly, we have highlighted in blue, this is the proposed pool fence. This is 4 feet in height, metal, black, pretty standard to what we typically see in the city. And then it's mostly in the front yard. I don't have it drawn in here, but this is essentially where the yard line is drawn. So it's this small little section here that falls within the side yard and requires screening. So this is a landscape screening plan. It's a little bit busy, but just to call out some areas of focus, I guess we'll start here. This is the area of the driveway and garage. There's an 8-foot cedar hedge along this property line here. This is the adjacent property that's also under development. We have 14 to 12-foot Norway spruce highlighted here, a 12-foot Japanese maple highlighted in red. This coverage area is a viburnum mix, so it's more of like a low grass type of landscaping. And then 12-foot giant cedars are mixed in as well. And then 12 to 14-foot spruce trees. So they're staggered here, shown along this side of the sport court. Along the west side, which is the side of the sport court that faces Trowbridge Road, we have a 6-foot high cedar hedge, which matches the height of the proposed fence in this location in order to achieve immediate screening. So also looking down at the pool area, which is enclosed by a 4-foot fence, we have a 48-inch boxwood hedge to meet the height standard of the pool fence. To provide immediate screening, and then there's some additional trees that are planted throughout the west side, the west front yard going towards Trowbridge Road, those being a 4-inch caliper maple tree mix. Down here to help screen from the south property line, there's what's labeled as variegated maidenhair miscanthus grass, and I did a quick search, and that's what this image is. Just to give you a sense and an idea of what's within this rectangular area is a grass such as this, and then planted within is 3-inch caliper white birch trees. And then just to lastly draw your attention to this portion of the house, this is side yard, pool equipment and AC equipment. That is required to be reviewed by the building official during permitting and inspections, and it requires screening, immediate screening. And so around that, they have a 5-foot cedar hedge. Also, in regards to the landscape screening, we're looking at the existing trees along Trowbridge Road. So in addition to everything that was just discussed up against the proposed development, if we move towards Trowbridge Road, we see here that there's existing tree coverage to help screen from any views from Trowbridge Road. There are some trees that are proposed to be removed, and those will be looked at as is standard during the permitting process with the city administration staff. Looking at some color renderings, just to give you a sense and a lay of the land of what we just discussed. Again, this is in the front yard, but it's treated as backyard, behind the house. All of the intent by the applicant was initiated to achieve that rear yard, back of the house focus. So this is a list of the proposed screening for plants. And then just to go through a few color renderings, which helps give you a sense of what is being proposed. We have some lot coverage of artificial turf surrounding the pool. It's permeable, but at the same time, the ordinance requires that it be counted against the open space of the lot. So we do have that factored in. You'll see here some accessory structures in the way of canopy or I don't know, umbrellas, but they're more established within the ground. We don't have that included in the letter, but those meet the standards of the ordinance. Here on the left side of the screen is the pool cabana. As you can see, it's an open structure. There is a wall on the back side with a TV screen there, and we find that as an accessory structure meets the ordinance. And then the pool shown here is entirely within the front yard as well. And then looking at an aerial view, here's the sport court with the 6-foot high enclosure fence with the 6-foot high hedge, and then the lower hedge screening the pool fence around the pool, tying into the house. This is the portion that's within the side yard, but otherwise everything that's under consideration is within the secondary front yard along Trowbridge Road. And then just to give you another aerial, we have some nice screening on the north side. Again, there's existing screening on Trowbridge, and then efforts by the applicant to provide additional screening to help eliminate views from the south. I'm happy to take questions. The city engineer's here to go through their review, and I believe the applicant's here that can answer questions as well.
If the improvements are to be approved as proposed, Would the owner be able to access their property off of Trowbridge if they wanted to do a little parking area or a egress, or maybe even try to slide a drive up to the south, along the south of the property? Would they be able to come off of Trowbridge as a quote front yard?
No. It's too high, the elevation of that house.
There's a
It's too high and there's a wall there.
huge ditch there. Yeah, no, but
I mean, so, but it doesn't, the improvements wouldn't fix that property currently referred to as a front yard into a quote rear yard.
No, there's no case that would change this from a front yard to a rear yard, so long as Trowbridge Road is there. The frontage of Trowbridge Road, the fact that there's a property line shared with the right-of-way line of Trowbridge Road makes it a front yard. So by having any change to that, it would not make a difference.
If they did want to do some grading, would they be able to put a circular parking area back there?
No, not easily. Not that would fit under the grading ordinance. You're talking 10 feet of fill and
Okay,
a lot. Yeah, it's not.
okay.
So for all intents and purposes, they will not be taking access of any kind from Trowbridge Road. It would stay and remain strictly off Eaton Cross.
Will they be changing any of the terrain that's along Trowbridge Road there? There's a lot of brush and high trees, and will that all remain so that it's screened naturally?
Yes, ma'am. They are asking for cuts and fills greater than 2 feet, and Mr. Burton's here to discuss that with the commission. But otherwise,
No, they're not grading back there. They're not grading towards Trowbridge. The work is contained up around the house. Which I'll show you.
So that deep gap, right, it'll remain that
Yes.
way, that it goes down and then comes up
Yep.
towards Trowbridge?
Correct.
I can't really see it.
you can
Yeah,
kind of,
different drawing, I'll show you.
you can get a sense for the change in elevation here on the east, or on the right side of the screen. This just gives a sense of the change in elevation shown in the image to the left, but Jamie can give you more details on that with his presentation.
But you did say that they do intend to take out some trees that are there already?
We didn't do an extensive review on that because it's covered with when the plans are reviewed administratively, but there's some that you can see here along the south property line. But as far as removals near Trowbridge, it doesn't appear that they'll be taking any out in that location. Yep.
Does the original house that was there was the driveway off of Eaton, I take it?
I believe it was relatively the same location. Yeah.
Because that's the address, so that would be the front road, so it should have been, right?
Yes.
It was a strange house though, because you couldn't really see, you couldn't tell where the front of the house was.
Because that was the lot
Eaton
that
Cross, I guess the driveway was there,
There was
but
only
it
one
looked like you were looking at the back of the house.
this one ran out.
It was old.
But they
There was never a house, that lot was split into 3 lots, and so there was never a house on that lot.
Oh, it's the other one,
Yeah.
the other property.
okay.
There was never a house on that lot?
No, it was part of a bigger lot.
There was one
bigger
house
lot.
on 10 acres.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks, Sarah.
Okay, sure.
Jamie?
Welcome, new and returning planning commission members. Jamie Burton with HRC. I will be brief in my comments. So the grading variance requested is permission for cuts up to 3 feet. It's a very limited area. They've done a pretty good job of limiting the grading. I'll work through that. So the overall site plan, front yard kind of goes towards Eaton Cross. This house is kind of up on this little hill. Front yard goes towards Eaton. The backyard has always gone through down to Trowbridge, and as you drive Trowbridge to Eaton, and you look down to your right, you'll see it's a pretty big valley around that whole corner. But to offset the new improvements of the sport court house, if you will, in the landscape area, they're kind of maintaining the grading along the side, adding swell and adding 2 leaching basins, which is pretty consistent with sport court / pools. So feel pretty comfortable about that. And this is really the whole area. So answer the question. So they're not proposing grading really past the back of the pool and the patio. So they're not going in further you go there, it's gonna get deep. I mean, it would be, one, it'd be mass grading, which we wouldn't allow. Two, it would be super deep to get all the way back up to the road elevation. So no, they've really kept this, it goes down and it goes back up to Trowbridge, if you will. So there's not proposing any fills or cuts back there. This is really just what's necessary for the house construction. And then if you noticed, the renderings, they are cutting down for the flat sport court, about 3 feet in the upper right corner, so there's your cuts of 3 feet. And the fence is inside of that as well. So we don't really see a problem with that, especially it's cuts and it's bringing the drainage from the neighbors, would be coming towards them and then ultimately to the back. So it's not impacting anybody else. Aerials, so that's really about it. So we don't really see any concerns about this. It's really mainly related to front yard stuff that Eric went through. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jamie?
I'm here if you need.
Is the,
Are you gonna take comments from us at the end?
is the applicant here? You could let us know who you are?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Mosier from Mosier Design Landscape Architecture. Welcome to the 2 new members. I'm happy to be in front of you tonight as representing this client. I also have with me the architect for the house, Lou DeRosier, and he can answer any questions that related to the house. But for those of you that haven't seen me before, I'm really fortunate to be doing a lot of work in your city, and I'm here quite a bit. So I know the rules pretty good. So just to give you guys a brief overview, those of you that are new, of how we come up with our plans is, one is, of course, we're hired by the client and they propose the things that they want. It's our job then to familiarize them with the ordinances of the city, and I think anybody that's worked with me can let you know that we really respect the ordinances of the city and we really try hard to educate our clients so that we're not asking for things that are unreasonable. So part of that is also understanding how does that impact the neighbors? How does that impact the drainage? And once we have all that gathered, we always proactively go meet with both Giffords and HRC to review our plans and get their feedback. They obviously know the ordinances very well and are very collaborative. So that is our process with all projects that we do in the city, so that you guys know that we don't just bring stuff in front of you and see how you think about it. In this particular project, I think we've done, in my opinion, obviously, a good job of dealing with the property that we're dealing with. I won't go into too much detail, as these guys did a nice job explaining about the 2 front yards. We obviously don't have any other option here to do these amenities that many people in this community have. Like always, we try to be tasteful in what we do. We try to do things that are going to be more nestled into the land rather than sitting up and being propped up. And in this case, they're features that nobody will see. Trowbridge is very low compared to this property, as you guys know. The property is quite wide. And the house that I'll be actually discussing next, the next agenda item, are relatives of these people. So they support this request. Really, with that being said, I'm just going to open it up for questions because I think it's pretty straightforward on this one. A lot of the principles of the fence screening and things like that, we've taken those from past practices that we've done in the hills here. And with that, I'll open it up.
Any questions for Matt? Come on, we can't let him get off too easy.
Hit me with something, Walt.
Okay, I guess I'd just comment that as I look at this, one of the important elements is whether or not it's screened, right? I mean, that's the issue here.
Yep.
And it seems like everything is pretty well screened.
We know the rules and we make sure that that's not an issue.
Okay? Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience that has comment on this?
I think with the 3 of us and maybe the 4 of us, we're concerned.
Could you let us know who you are?
Sorry, Nancy Bacon, I'm at 1115 Eaton Cross, so I'm just
Can you-
adjacent to it.
Eric, can you show us where that might be? Just maybe an
My
area.
neighbor is adjacent to it here, and then I'm. right
Okay,
next to it.
we get, okay, so where would you guys be? Maybe if you could,
She would be the corner, I would be this house.
okay,
You want to mention your issue?
So, our biggest thing that's been during the construction of this was, the significant removal of trees between the two properties. Of course, it was a vacant land. Grading and removal of some trees is going to happen to build such a large structure. However, we were, like, just based off of the presentation that was done, my biggest concern is the replanting of trees to bring privacy back to myself as well as their home. Personally, from how I saw it, a significant portion of trees are being planted more to the right. And based off of that bed of 4-foot grass, it looked like there were just 3 trees planted there. And that wouldn't even be where, like, closer to our home, it would be closer to the backyard. And so I wanted to see, like, in the plans that are being proposed right now, is there anything to deal with the loss of overall greenery that were from the start of actually Eaton Cross all the way just to where our 2 homes meet, because they were built, it's kind of built like really right next to each other. I was actually thinking when construction started, the home would be maybe like pushed a little more. Of course, everyone to their preference of how they want to build. But is there anything to deal with the loss of vegetation more from Eaton to the house?
okay. I want to ask just a couple questions first. First of all, I didn't get your name. Could you let us?
My name's Yaman Sabak.
Okay,
Nice to meet you.
and your address is,
1125 Eaton
Okay.
Cross Road.
so we get that.
It's the one that's
Right.
right
Got it.
next to the Sunset
So,
side.
Eric, can we get the aerial up with the landscape plan? So that we can address the question and concern? Well, maybe can we look at the landscape plan rather than the rendering here?
I would like to point out that
So-
that our home's more over here,
Okay,
south of where this is being proposed right now. Our house, like our, I would say specifically our sunroom is backs to the wall of the home more than to the backyard of the home. And you can see the equipment that's being proposed is net, like, of course, to our side. But I was wondering, tree line wise.
sure. So, Eric, can you, we've got, I think, an overall, I know we got it in our packet. Do you have it there, the overall landscape plan?
I don't, I just
Okay.
focused on this side.
All right, so if we pull this, I think to address this question, we really got to look at the overall plan, right?
Eric, how about the picture that shows where the trees would be removed? That one right there.
So we're looking, I guess, at this, guys, is this like the area we're looking at here, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Right, okay. So, so to his question, so his house, so we've got like, we've got the larger site plan. We can't, because it's not in the file, but, so to address his question, I don't know where the trees were that were removed.
Yeah, we don't plan on removing any trees. I believe those might have just been like dead ones that the builder probably had in their initial plan, because we don't have any Xed off on ours. So anything that's removed on site now is all that's gonna be removed.
So I guess his question is he's framed it here, so there's lots of trees going. Pardon me. So there's lots of trees going in here. So is there anything that you have proposed that will screen this from his house here?
From their view, they won't see any of that because of the evergreens we have around the pool. But
Pardon me?
from their view, they won't see any of the pool area and stuff because their house sits back a bit, okay? But like we've done in other cases, because our client and us want to be good neighbors, we're happy to address some of those view lines with you on site. And if we, because our client also wants a lot of privacy, okay? So what we can do, and if the board's amenable to it, is I'd be happy to meet any one of you at your house, I guess it'd be your house that's affected, and we can look at those sight lines and we can put some trees in the plan and then turn those back into the city so they have record of that. Because I think our client and you want the same thing,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
And I believe what he's saying is that the biggest problem is near the street, not the sports court and the pool and so on. And there
Right.
were a lot of trees that were cut down there. Some may have been from Detroit Edison, but I was a little worried about it and I went to talk to him. You can just describe more how much was cut down.
Yeah, I would say.
So if I could frame this in terms of our responsibility, so we're looking at the proposal for the recreational area in the backyard. So the front of the home, really, what happens there isn't the responsibility of our commission to sort of govern or direct them on their landscaping. They're responsible for replacing certain trees that are removed from the site, and there's a calculation of all that, and they would have done that as part of the permit process.
And they would have contacted?
Not necessarily. If it's just an administrative approval, the city reviews, we've got there's a tree removal plan. They would have reviewed that, and depending on the number of trees that were removed and their location, there's a calculation. So they're not really responsible for screening their home in the front yard. So our focus is really in the backyard. And I guess to the extent that the applicant's willing.
Well, let me just, because I think the answer is right on your plan there, is, and you guys haven't seen it, the front yard, there is a lot of evergreens that are being replanted all along there. So again, you'll see, we're easy to work with. We're happy to come by and take a look, and, but the front yard has lots of them proposed, and then angles that hit what we would call logically the backyard. More than happy to take a look and have it put on plans so that everybody's on the same page. Not a problem.
And if you haven't seen this, this is the front yard. You live right here.
Our house borders
Yeah,
the side of the house.
Right, so this is the front yard right here, and so I think Matt's talking about all these trees, so.
Yeah, but our house is to the side of the house.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and we'll make sure we get them in there, and staff will put that on. We've done it before, so,
That would be great.
yeah.
Okay,
And the only other point that some of us had is the height of the fence for not the pool is compliant, but the sports court. And 6 feet is pretty high.
can we go back to the illustration up there? So what he shows on the plan is they're putting up these 6-foot tall cedars. So it's going to be complete. The fence is 6 feet tall, and the vegetation is 6 feet tall, so you wouldn't see it.
Well, and how is that going to be if you approve 6 feet and for the next neighbor that wants to put up a 6-foot fence? Aren't we setting precedents?
Well,
Because we've heard that before.
I guess, this is sort of a unique situation, and they're screening it, but I guess the commission is going to, we'll consider your comment, because we're going
And our
to.
comment basically is that, I know it's an unusual yard, and I think they've done a good job trying to do the front yards, 2 front yards and so on. But the precedent for a 6-foot fence in the whole neighborhood is a concern. And it doesn't have to be down to 3, which is what's required. They're asking to go from 3 to 6. The pool fence is 4, and
Matt, could you do a 4?
Yeah, we could, I mean, I could talk to my client, they're not here right now. Just for like a little education, you know, any of the tennis courts you see around are gonna be between 8 to 10 that you see right now. And we've done a lot of them around here. So what we do is 6 feet's kind of that, just, not saying that we gotta stick there, but that is like the balance to where if you hit a ball, it's just enough to stop it. Yeah, and the other thing I wanna make clear about the sport court netting is this is not a fence in terms of something that really stands out. It's a very opaque netting. So you really, I mean, unless you're in that pool area, you really can't see it except for a couple posts. And frankly, nobody's going to even have a view into the property. So that's why we think it's reasonable. But, you know, if it's that big, so let me back up. We put this in front of your association and they approved everything, okay? You guys are independent neighbors and we respect that. But we did do our homework with your association. We're not here to fight at all. I'm just letting you know that 6 feet is not something that anybody's gonna see, and it just adds a little bit more usability. So that's the only reason I'm kind of pushing back on that just a little bit. And I can assure you, you're not gonna see it.
Well, and I think you've done a good job with that, and if the hedges are as good as they are there, it looks like a 5-foot hedge and.
They're 6 foot, yeah, exactly, 5 and then a 6.
Go up higher.
Yep.
Right, and that we're more worried about precedent with it.
Totally
This guy
understand.
comes through, he might want a 6-foot fence and he doesn't care.
And I think you're right, a 6-foot fence, you know, I think 6 foot's permitted in a rear yard, in Bloomfield Hills.
It is.
So, anybody can have a 6-foot fence if it's a rear yard. So we're really not setting a precedent there, and what we see is these are courts. They're not like a fence that surrounds the property, it's just around a court. And the one thing, and I know it sounds like I'm kissing the city's butt, but they really do a good job. Like Dave and those guys, they come out, they make sure that the screening is what they say it's gonna be, because they don't wanna deal with it either. So in terms of actually showing what's here is what does happen. So, you know, whenever I'm on a job or Lou is, we do things right and we try to be respectful of everybody involved.
I appreciate it. You've got 3 people on Eaton Cross and 1 on Burnham here.
Yeah.
That also has property on Eaton
Totally
Cross.
understand your points.
The 4 of us would respectfully request if you could move that down to 4 feet. It would be appreciated. And you could build a 6-foot hedge so you don't have to worry about those balls growing.
Okay, I have talked to my client, I really don't want to table this over a 6-foot fence. What's your guys' position on things?
Well, I guess, we'll discuss that. I guess
Okay.
we appreciate your comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, and I guess, any other questions? Well, before we go to any other questions for Matt, I didn't know you lived in that we had 4 lots here.
4 lots.
So, do you have comment or question? And if you do, let us know.
I have a curiosity.
So, can we go back to the map?
Yeah, and just to be clear, the 3 of us discussed this and we all felt that a 4-foot fence would be appropriate.
Okay, I thought we only had the 2 lots there, so which are the other 2 lots that we? Okay, if you could show us. Okay, there, and so that's 1, then you're in that one. Okay.
On the corner, lot 22.
Okay,
That one. Yeah,
okay.
so-
That way.
Yeah, Jerry's there, I'm here, and then we saw the other.
Okay, so you guys got the whole neighborhood covered here.
Yeah, we
Um,
do.
So it's a beautiful neighborhood. Well,
My curiosity question really doesn't have to do with construction, it has to do with seeing the setbacks listed and then seeing all the accessory buildings go into the setback. Setback is measured to the house. Why is it not measured to the whole construction?
So first of all, can I ask, what is your name?
Oh, Laura Prinstead, 1134 Eden Park.
Okay, nice to meet you, Laura. So, in terms of setback, we have the home, and then we have all these recreational installations or improvements. And so all of those are, the location is determined partly on their relationship to the setback. So everything is within the setback. It's not in an area that can't be built on, because otherwise they would be asking for a variance on those items. So,
I thought it did go into a setback.
well, I mean, the improvement is, so, well, let me reframe this. So the backyard, in our city, if your rear yard is on a road, then it's in a front yard. And so I guess to your point, I'm gonna take back what I said. This is, I guess, in a front yard. And so they're requesting that this recreational improvement be placed in a front yard. But the city looks at these kinds of proposals where their backyard is a front yard. And so there's provision in the ordinance that allows that these improvements can be placed there depending on the circumstances. And here, and there's, we had the distance requirement and some of those other requirements that the planner referred to early on. And so here, they couldn't put anything in their yard because it's a front yard, so the city gives deference to that. And that's what we're doing, but we want to make sure that if they do put it back there, that it's really well screened and the neighbors are protected. And so that's the process that we're going through now. We wouldn't prevent them from putting anything in their backyard because it's a front yard, if that makes sense.
I understand everything you said. My only issue is, I think that when you're doing dimensions, the drawing shows the setback up to the house. It doesn't show how far from the street.
Do you mean from Eaton Cross, or do you mean from?
I'm looking at the Trowbridge side.
It's that,
From the sports compound to the.
It's your definition she's referring to.
So the measurement is to the house, not to all the accessories.
May I?
Go ahead.
So I understand your point. So one of the dimensional standards that is required of the ordinance when a accessory structure is proposed in a front yard, which this is, if you look at the highlighted number 4 in pink here, it says the placement in the front yard shall be permitted only where the front yard is at least 3 times greater in depth than the minimum setback requirement. So in looking at this image here, the setback requirement for the front yard off of Trowbridge is 65 feet. So this area, 65 feet and closer to the property line, that's a no-build area. So what this highlighted number 4 is stating is that in order for anything to be permitted in the front yard, the depth of the front yard has to be at least 3 times that. So when you multiply 3 times 65, that comes out to 195. So the area in green needs to be a depth of 195. It just so happens to be 209 because that measurement is taken from the property line to the closest edge of the house. So from the closest edge of the house forward is the front yard. The depth of it exceeds the minimum required by the ordinance. And so everything that we found with our review pertaining to setbacks, nothing encroaches into a minimum setback, whether it's the side or the front.
So theoretically, they could have made the sports complex twice as deep, and it still would be compliant.
The sport court could be proposed further from the north property line, if that's what you're referring to. The proposed sport court is right up against the north setback line. So it still is in compliance, but it cannot go any closer to the north property line than where it is shown right
I think
here.
what she's saying is closer to Trowbridge.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, yes, it could also go closer to Trowbridge. It could not encroach past the 65-foot setback. But ideally, you know, with,
So theoretically, by the rules, it could be a lot bigger than.
Yes,
yes.
Could go all the way to 65.
unless
Yeah,
it was.
that's a great I mean,
Right. So it wasn't really your problem, it was my wanting to understand.
does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. How about the gentleman to your
I'm
left
Jerry
there?
Keller, on lot 22. Is there an intended usage for the sports court? What would go on? I mean, I don't want to hear a pickleball tournament during the night.
Okay, yeah.
How would it be used? I know it's not part of this plan, just curiosity.
Well, no, that's a fair question, because oftentimes that's an issue with these proposals.
Well, it's
We,
lighting and
we're considering the sound, and there's no lights or
No
anything.
lights.
Yeah, so this is a daytime use, there's no lighting. And it's primarily going to be for tennis and basketball. They have some small children, so just daytime use. Yeah, so. And again, it's, you know, fortunately for you guys, it's pretty far, it's the furthest it could be from your houses. So,
The cars on Woodward.
yeah.
Don't try that
Well, it might be a nice sound to drown it out.
out. Should have went on Sunday night.
Yeah, no, but a good question.
What's the intended completion for all this? When, the whole thing, completely done?
I think it's, they're shooting for, Lou, do you know? I think it's is it the fall or the winter of this coming year?
Different houses.
Well, this house.
This one is at least a year away.
About a year out to finish this whole house.
What about the accessory?
That's what we're talking about.
When will the construction?
About a year.
1 year.
Yeah. So the idea is to get the outdoor stuff going this spring.
Does
We
that,
went through with the excavations.
does that address your questions?
Yes.
Okay, good. Those are all great questions.
We do have two ordinances to protect you as well, so they cannot have any construction equipment on the road at all. It has to be, they have to bring in that big gravel, what do you call that?
After we complained, it was observed.
Yeah, so that one is,
The noise hasn't been.
yeah, so that, you're right. So that's one is for the road. The second one is they have to show continuous work on the house. You can't, like, start something and go for 2 months and not do anything. So we have a ordinance that says it has to show continuous work on the house. That's why we're trying to limit the days for
Do you
construction.
expect the place to be occupied and people built within a year?
That's what I think was,
That's the goal.
that's your goal down back there to do it. Matt, and the other thing though too is, this has come up to us a lot in the city, and you do a lot. But, you know, all these neighbors here, they're used to looking at natural trees, shrubs, you know, it's beautiful, it's like a woods. And we have a lot of that in the neighborhood. And what happens is someone comes onto an empty lot like this, and they're like, oh, that's a deciduous tree, oh, that tree is dying, oh, and they start clear cutting, and that ruins their entire view.
Right.
So I hear what you guys are saying, and we've had it a lot in the city. So I think, Matt, when you're talking with homeowners, and you do a lot of it, you know, you gotta replace that view.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Not with the natural one and everything, but you have to be able to give them that greenery again, and not looking at the roof of an accessory building or the netting of a sports court or something. That would drive me crazy in my backyard.
Right.
So
100%.
if you can accomplish that, work with them, but also going forward with homeowners, the same thing, because we hear the same complaint over and over when we're sitting up here, is you took away my natural landscape.
Happy to do so.
Thank you.
We were pretty spoiled with that land being vacant for a long time.
I hear ya, trust me. I hear ya, we have,
Go back, that
yeah.
lot that you built on was vineyard, total vineyard, maintained properly. So you say about aesthetics and tree, that's the thing with horses on it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
In the barn.
Can't
Yeah.
put all 105.
No, I hear you, I hear you.
I'm gonna pull this back.
Yeah.
I do have a question though. How long have you guys lived in that area? How long?
I'm a newcomer, I'm there 43 years.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so, just know that this commission respects, the character that exists there, and we're here to protect it. So if that comforts you at all, we're watching over it.
We appreciate it, and I
So-
think our neighbors here are the ones that have the biggest problem, because they're right next door, and there was a lot of greenery there, and people might call it junk trees, but it was green, and it really made a big difference.
Okay.
I went over and I saw the guys cutting it down, and it was like clear cutting, and I don't know if it was Detroit Edison or somebody with the builder, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how responsible Detroit Edison is.
Dave, how many phone calls have you gotten about builders go in and start clear cutting? We get it a lot, and it's good. But thank you for coming too. We really appreciate when neighbors
Talking
come.
about trees, I hit here and cut them down. I put up 100 Norway spruces about 10 years ago on my own property, so to maintain the ambiance.
All right.
Sensitive.
I'm gonna pull this back. Does the commission have any other questions or comments? I think there's this, where are we with the height of the fence?
Well, what do you guys think?
Well, I just.
Well, I guess,
Especially would like 4 feet, not the 3 feet that's required, but 4 feet.
so I'm gonna turn this over to this commission now. We've heard from them, so I guess I'm gonna look to the commission here for a judgment call on the height of the fence. There was a comment made about screening on what would be the west side, I think it's the west side of.
South side.
That's a south side of the property. Sort of losing my dimensions there, or direction. So, I'm gonna say on the left side of the house, but I really can't say that either, because it's got 2 front yards. But we all know where they're concerned. So there's question about height of the fence, the screening, and so, comments?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm satisfied with the application as is. I think 6 feet is consistent with the city's standards, and I think administratively, the screening by your house was something that the city manager can watch over, and any concerns that you have, you should discuss with him, because that's really out of what's before us here. That's closer towards the road that we're dealing with. So I'm satisfied with the application.
Totally agree.
Okay.
Because it's used as their backyard. I mean, it's not really fair that they have 2 front yards.
Okay. I don't know how you.
I'm
you
usually
guys-
normally a neighbor 4 foot, but I would say, I think we can help alleviate your setting of precedence. Mark, we can put in the motion that the only reason we would approve, if we do decide to, the 6 foot one, is because of the, help me with legal terms. This is a unique situation with 2 front yards.
Exactly.
So-
And that should be part of your motion for the basis of that, that it's consistent with ordinance standards, but for the definitional issue regarding the road frontage on both sides of the property.
But I think you were also going to, they've done a wonderful job with the screening. So, that was the other issue, is that if there was a way to tie that into it, would be
Into the
Yes.
motion, you would be fine with that.
Because you took that into consideration. If that was just a fence there and it was just that mesh fence without all that beautiful screening, I think a lot of you would feel different about it too. So if you could put that in for our concern.
To make sure it's
Because,
screened.
quite
Okay.
frankly, they've done a really good job. I don't think my friends have that big of a problem with it for the 6 feet with all of those hedges if they turn out as good as they do here. And it is with both of the properties. But who knows when somebody does
Okay,
something
we can
else.
do that for you then. Matt,
So-
make a commitment to make sure you stand in their yards and make sure they're satisfied with it.
Yeah, no, we will. We've done it on other cases too.
Okay, thank you.
So does someone want to make a motion here, or?
Everybody's
You
looking
know
at
how to
me.
do this as well as anyone.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the plans for the address at 1177 Eaton Cross that are presented in front of us, with the fact that we allow the 6-foot fence only because of, help me, Mark, on the legal terms.
I would say, that based upon the unique characteristic of this property having, road frontage on both the east and west side, that the deviation required for the location of these accessory uses in the front yard is due to that fact, and that if this was in fact a rear yard, it would meet the city standards, and therefore, because of the unique characteristic, will allow the deviation in that regard.
And that it's sufficiently screened.
And then, yeah, and then I was gonna add, and that it's sufficiently screened, and I'll even add another one on that Matt will commit to making sure that you guys are seeing your greenery that you saw before, that you're satisfied.
Okay.
It's in the motion, is that fair?
Happy to, yeah.
Okay.
Amy?
Second.
Okay.
Amy, wait a minute, Amy, did you get all that?
Yes, thank you.
So you're all set, okay.
Okay. I have one question that crossed my mind. One issue that oftentimes surfaces is it's not so much the existing vegetation, but it's the understory vegetation. When I drove by there, there's a lot of understory vegetation along Trowbridge. Are you guys going to keep that, or are you going to
Yeah.
go clear that out, or are you
No,
going
the
to keep?
Trowbridge stays, and then there's some
Okay.
evergreens that go
That's what you gotta
behind it.
say. You're
Yeah.
going to keep all that understory
That's on the
vegetation.
easement.
Pardon me?
That's mostly on the easement.
Yeah.
Trowbridge easement,
Hey.
15-foot easement.
Yep, people remove that stuff all the time. So, okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Are you guys fine with us? You fine with this, Dave?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you all.
Nice meeting you
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you for coming.
And good luck with your project. Pardon me?
No, we got the next one now.
Okay. Next item is the Planning Commission will consider the request of the property owner at 1185 Eaton Cross for approval to install a pool. A pool fence and pergola in the side yard.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have some new faces on the commission, but also at the podium today. I just want to introduce my colleague here, Ian Hogue. Ian's been with Giffords
Hold
Webster
on
for...
just a second, we just,
Excuse us. So I'm happy to introduce my colleague Ian Hogue with Giffords Webster. He's been with us for a little over a year now. He was hired primarily, at least in part, to help with a lot of Bloomfield Hills projects. So he knows the ordinance. He knows a lot of the applicants in meeting with the applicants during office hours. And so as we move forward, we'd like to have Ian stand at the podium, have conversations with the Planning Commission, discuss the projects. And so without further ado, Ian's going to handle the next project today.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome aboard. We see you out in the
I'm-
field,
yeah.
and we see you sitting out there.
I'm in the peanut gallery, so I might as well,
So now we're going to make you work.
yeah, dip my toes in, right, get started. Like Eric said, my name's Ian Hogue. I've been with Giffords for a little over a year now, and today I'll be going over 1185 Eaton Cross, so we'll dive right in. So the subject site is just north of the previous proposal that we just discussed. Again, it's A1 zoning district, and they are requesting approval for a side yard pergola, pool, and a pool fence, and there's also a section of the pool fence in the front yard. And then here's the overall aerial shot. You can see the home that was previously there. That has been demolished, and then back in October of last year, they received building permit approval, and it's currently under construction as well. There's a unique condition that you can kind of see. There's a panhandle-like section of the property that does touch Eaton Cross, which kind of results in some additional frontage, which results into an additional front yard along on that northern section when you take that property line back and apply it to the building. So it technically has frontage on 3 sides, including that small little sliver, and then the northern section of Eaton Cross, and then Trowbridge as well. So it results in 3 front yards and 1 side yard. So no rear yards as well, similar to the last project. Just a closer view. In blue, you can see the pool fence. So a majority of it is in the side yard, and then a section of it is in the front yard along Trowbridge Road. You can also see there's a pergola as well, and then you can see the pool, which is in the middle of the kind of pool patio area. So again, the items that need planning commission approval are the pool and spa, which is in the non-required side yard. It meets all of the dimensional requirements for the setbacks. And then the pool fence, which is 4 feet in height. It's a standard black aluminum pool fence. That also is in the side and front yard. So again, that needs PC approval. And then there's another, on the next side, you'll see there are some new mechanical equipment that are along that northeastern section of the home that requires ZBA approval because those are mechanical equipment in the front yard. So depending on today's meeting and how, if the proposal is approved, that will also go to ZBA next week to get approval for those mechanical units in the front yard. And then lastly, the pool pergola is an accessory structure similar to the previous proposal that is in the side yard. Again, that meets all of the setback requirements, and it's about 9.5 feet in height. So then just overlay with the yard map, you can see the AC units on the northeastern kind of portion of the site with the front yard as well as the pool equipment. So again, those need ZBA approval. And then again, you can see the pool fence in blue, front and side yards. And then in the middle is the pool itself in the side yard. And then we have the proposed pergola in the shaded red area, which is also in the side yard. And now we'll get into the screening. So all the blue circles is existing screening that is shown on the submitted landscape plan. And then for the section of the fence, there we go, section of the fence along Trowbridge Road, there's a 5-foot cedar hedge. The pool fence is 4 feet in height, so that'll be a foot taller than the proposed fence. Again, there's existing screening and kind of the undergrowth that you can see if you drive by. And then this section of the fence, there's the 48-inch double file viburnum scattered throughout, screening it in addition to a 14-foot spruce and cedar mix throughout the, right along the property line. And then this section of the side yard fence is also screened by existing screening, but also a 5-foot cedar hedge. This is just a quick screen grab from the road. Again, it's similar to the previous property where it's kind of up on a hill with additional existing screening scattered throughout the site. And then the next couple slides, we'll just go through the proposal and renderings. So this is what the proposed pergola will typically look like. I think later in the renderings, you'll be able to see it slightly. It's about 9.5 feet in height. And then this is the front of the home. So just looking from Eaton Cross into the site. So all of the proposed improvements are completely behind the home in the side yard. And then here is the pool in the middle. The fence would be along here. And then right here is, you can see the pergola. Just another view. A little bit more of a bird's eye view showing majority of the site. So here's the pergola, your pool. Pool fence would go around there. Here are the cedar trees with the viburnum. And it kind of shows the existing screening as well. And then this is from the previous project, but it also shows the home under construction, but also the proposed improvements from this property's kind of point of view, but it also shows that cedar spruce mix as well as the double file viburnum. I think that is it for us. I'd be happy to answer any questions we have the applicant here, or we can turn it over to Jamie to go through his presentation. Any questions?
Any questions?
No?
I guess you're good.
All right.
Good job.
Good job.
Jamie?
I have a very brief presentation because this is a compliant project. So there was an old house that was here. You kind of saw in those pictures, kind of the moat that kind of came around the front. There's a lot of retaining walls there now. If you drive by from the old house, they're kind of proposing to replace some of those in the front, really clean up the front yard. It kind of sweeps around from Trowbridge to Eaton Cross, but the walls are all under 3 feet. They've actually kept all the grading within the ordinance limits, so we don't have a grading variance on this parcel as well. But they also, in addition to that, even though you can meet a lot of the ordinance when you're adding sport courts, pools, pool decks, kind of those ancillary structures, then we've asked them to add additional drainage features, which they've done with some additional leaching basins. So the house is kind of on this little bit of a hill. They're bringing the water around, taking it to where the water goes now. You can just notice in the front, at the very top of the drawing, kind of that moat, if you will, around the front of the house, and that kind of comes around the side. But they're really going to clean that up. Right now it's a series of walls that are going to be removed and replaced with 2 walls. We really don't have any issues bringing this water around. It's hard to say front yard, backyard, because it's all front yard, but they kind of really are shedding the water off in the right direction. They're adding the leaching basins where appropriate. So I don't really have anything else. This is before you from a planning commission perspective, but from a grading perspective, we're okay with the utilities and stuff. So.
Any questions for Jamie? Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here?
There's a pool on it, so it's gotta be
Matt Mosier again, representing the homeowners at 1185 Eaton Cross. I'm not going to get into too much on this one. It's really straightforward. With the road being so far away on both sides, having the hill so far down, you just aren't going to see anything. And just like the other one, we've done, I think, a nice job of screening out any fence that could potentially be visible. And I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions for Matt? Okay. Audience? Okay.
Is there gonna be a bomb shelter in this house?
Yeah, what did you do with the old bomb shelter? Anybody-
You know what? I don't have anything to do with that. Lou, do you know about that? Or?
It took him forever
Took
to
you
dig it
4
out.
months to take that down.
It was really difficult to dig
I
out.
thought you were
Remove it.
blasting
What
it.
about the big door to go in?
Yeah, well, that's gone. They're all.
Yeah, I remember it's a bomb shelter and it was, doors were this thick.
No more.
You weren't
Okay.
ready for anything.
Hauling, Corvettes and crashes that moat in front.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Occasionally on Sunday morning, you see a Corvette or something.
Couple cars here and there, huh?
Okay, so, I guess I bring you back to the commission for questions, comments, discussion, or a motion.
I have a question of the architect, since he's with us today.
Well, actually, oh, you did both of these. Okay.
And so my question is this. It's our understanding these are related families. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Was there, in the planning stage, I'm sort of curious, was there a substantial discussion about architectural integrity of neighbors?
You mean the style?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're the children. The parents are yours and my ages, and the children are quite young and have 4 grandchildren. So the parents are ecstatic that they're going to be right next to their grandchildren.
Wait,
And the parents wanted the style. The parents are very traditional.
where did the parents
The
live?
parents are in this house. I'm sorry. The parents.
The
are-
old fogies.
the senior citizens
Did you say the old fogies?
Are in this house, the traditional looking home.
Okay,
Even though it's 1 story, very
Okay.
practical. You know,
right,
and then the children and family, their children are in the contemporary home.
okay.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
Second question. Who is the recipient of the gold in the vaults?
Whoever's still on the planet. How about that?
Thank you.
I guess I want to hear the rest of that story, but not now. Okay, any other questions or comments? Are you going to make?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
The motion is that we adopt the petition as submitted and discussed here today for 1185 Eaton Cross. Wonderful job.
I'll second it.
you second it? Okay, you good with that, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you, guys, appreciate it very much.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Nice meeting you folks.
Mr. Chair. I'm assuming the motion intended to include the requirement for ZBA approval as a condition,
Absolutely.
and the prior motion as well, correct?
Yes. Okay, so, so that brings our agenda to conclusion. Any other comments, or can we conclude? Okay. Adjourn our meeting.